welcome to this, and this will be my review for Raw, the go-home show. Well, I guess the go-home Raw for the pay-per-view for Hell in the Cell. 2 weeks worth of build for a pay-per-view that definitely should probably get 4 weeks of build, and yeah, so that's what we get. Yay! That's just great stuff right there. Okay, so we started off the show kind of odd, in my opinion, where we had John Morrison, or not John Morrison, but we had The Miz come out with Riley and talk about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan then came out. They talked about the fact that we're going to have a tag match, and John Morrison wound up being Daniel Bryan's tag match. This match could have been good, but Riley was in there too much. Morrison and Daniel Bryan didn't get to do that much, really. So, there was there. It was, a average, I would say, tag team TV match, which set up, which I guess is the important thing, did set up a match at the pay-per-view. John Morrison and Daniel Bryan taking on The Miz, which could be very good if they give them time. We'll have to wait and see. I would imagine The Miz finally probably getting the chance to go over here. Maybe not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But this looks like it could be a good addition to the show. So there is that. Then we got the Divas Battle Royal. This was, it wasn't even over the top rope. It was just the girls had to be thrown to the outside. Not good. Wound up with Natalya winning, which I guess that's good. You had Cool out there, which just became annoying. This was not a good segment. This was a bad segment. So there you go. Then we had DiBiase stuff with Maurice and the secret admirer, whoever the secret admirer is. Which I guess we'll find out next week, so there's that. Then Sheamus came out. Sheamus talked about destroying Triple H, and that he ended Triple H's career, and that he challenged anyone in the back to come out. Great Khali came out. This was basically just a way for Sheamus to beat up the Great Khali like no one else has done, and tried to make Sheamus look like a badass, and I'm sorry, just not buying it. Not my cup of tea. Then we had the Cutting Edge with Edge interviewing the Raw GM through which they gave the HAL voice, basically the computer voice. Was an interesting segment, I guess. We really didn't get any clues to who he was, who the GM is or was, or who even that. They probably don't even know who it's going to be, so why even matter? There was that. From there, we got the GM made a match between Edge and John Cena. This was okay. John Cena eventually went over after some shenanigans. Blah. This led to Edge destroying the computer and, acting goofy with the Raw GM, so there was that. But we got no Nexus, which I thought was weird, because John Cena's taking on Nexus, or Wade Barrett, at the pay-per-view, but we did get Nexus next. We got Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater versus Evan Bourne and Mark Henry. This was actually, I thought, pretty well booked. You got to see Evan Bourne do his shooting star, and yet Nexus went over, so I thought that was fairly good. Then you got the beatdown afterwards. Again, no John Cena, which I found very strange. This was just retarded. You didn't see John Cena. John Cena didn't come out during the beatdown after the match. It's like these two are, Barrett and Cena are taking on each other. There was no confrontation, no nothing. We are less than a week away from a pay-per-view. This is a pretty big match for the pay-per-view, and that's all pretty much we got. Not very good stuff, in my opinion. Then we got a tag team title match. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre taking on the Hart Dynasty. Again, I've seen this. I saw this, of course, on SmackDown, so this was lame to see yet again. And then they teased a Hart Dynasty breakup, that's just even more just wonderfulness. WWE, wonderfulness. Then we got goofy segment with John Cena and R-Truth. Then we had Chris Jericho come to the ring. This was actually pretty funny. Chris Jericho came to the ring, talked about his new DVD, talked about how many guys he'd beaten, started just naming off all the guys that he had beaten, all the Hall of Famers, all the guys that other people didn't know. We come back from commercial and he's still going, and then he starts naming off Hall and Nash's individual gimmicks, which are just hilarious. I mean, this was just hilarious. This led to Randy Orton taking on Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho wins. He gets a title shot. This was okay it just didn't go long enough. Or I guess I shouldn't say that. It was kind of missing something. I don't know, but it was just kind of there. It was a good TV match, I guess I would say. Main event. Which eventually led to Sheamus coming down. Yes, we got the build up here between Sheamus and Randy Orton, which was okay. But nothing on this show, with the exception of the opening thing, which I would like to see that match, made me want to see any of those matches anymore. So that's just made me be like, eh. Not a very good go-home show. I guess this really isn't the go-home show. I guess SmackDown's the go-home show, but let's be honest. About half of the people that watch Raw are going to watch SmackDown, so I don't understand why you wouldn't have a pretty good push for pay-per-view on Raw, and then just have, just a more push on SmackDown. But we didn't get that, so there we go. Of course, Cena and Nexus are going to be on SmackDown. I guess that's where we're going to get the confrontation between them, which seems kind of odd because you would think that show would be, should be about Undertaker and Kane, and anything else they're probably going to throw on to the show. So, it seems very odd to me. The pay-per-view seems very to be honest. I'm not big on the Hell in the Cells because I think it's overdone. The John Cena thing Wade Barrett could be interesting if they let John Cena lose, but I don't think that's going to happen. And the Submissions Count Anywhere match, which is the three-way that Daniel Bryan, The Miz, and John Morrison is going to be in, that could be interesting if they let them actually go out there and actually, put on a good match. Kane and Undertaker, I don't expect to be a great match myself, but, maybe they can do some smoke and mirrors. But, the storyline has been good, so there is that. But it's not so good that I want to see the finishing or I want to pay for it. And then Randy Orton versus Sheamus, which I really could care less about either. But, and that's part of the problem, is the WWE is just not giving us, I don't think, any reason to truly care about this pay-per-view or a lot of pay-per-views. So it is kind of what it is. Anyways, with that, I am out. I will be back tomorrow with what? I am not exactly sure, but we will see. I will think of something in the next 24 hours. With that, I'm out. Have a good one. Later.